Hello friends, I hope you all are doing well. From today, I am going to start 14-day beginners to advanced level pivot table course. In this course, I will cover basic pivots, power query pivot tables and power pivots. But firstly, if you are new to my channel, then do subscribe to it so that you can benefit from upcoming videos. Now, let's dive into our main topic. First, we need to understand why do we need pivot tables in Excel. Pivot tables are basically used to simplify your data analysis, especially if you have large amount of data. Secondly, they help you to generate visually appealing reports. And thirdly, they help you to save your time with new information as they can automate your task, and instead of repeatedly doing it on new data, you can just refresh the pivot tables and get your results in seconds. The way I will perform the operations today in this video will help you to understand more about pivot tables. So let's discuss about our example data that we are going to use for analysis. You can see I have information about different clients. Instead of using names, I have used the labels C1, C2, C3 and up to C7. We are assuming that these are clients that have been purchasing some products from our company for the past 4 years, and I want to see how much revenue has been generated from the selling of these products over the past few years. And I also want to generate a separate revenue report for each client. And lastly, I want to see how much each client, region or product has been contributed in the revenue generation. In this data, you can see I have no information about the years. Rather, I have information about dates. Okay. So if I want to see the information about the revenue in any particular year or about the number of units sold, then the classic Excel tactics tempts me to use filter here. Like what I need to do, I have to apply filter here, then I need to go to any year for which I want to see the results, select it, apply OK, and then I will need to sum all this information. This technique is quite hectic if you have large amount of data. For example, if I have to generate a simple table like this, then it needs a lot of calculations if I try to extract the results from data manually. Now, let's explore the magic of pivot tables. Go to your data sheet and place your cursor on any text-filled cell in your data and press Ctrl and A. Pressing Ctrl A will highlight all the text-filled cells in your column and helps you to avoid any blank cells. Then go to Insert tab, and here you can see pivot table option right in the left side. Click on it. It will offer you some options. Here you can see this tab is representing our data column, and then it is asking that whether we want the pivot table on the same sheet or whether we want the pivot table in the new sheet. I always prefer to use new worksheet for pivot table creation. And then in the end, you can see there is an option add this data to the data model. For now, you are supposed to uncheck it. What is data model and why do we use it? I will explain it in my later videos. Uncheck this box and press OK. As soon as you hit OK, you can see a pivot table navigator bar will appear in the new worksheet. Here you can see we are in new worksheet, that is 3. Sheet 1 contains our data. Sheet 2 was a report. We can remove it and let's name our sheets with good names, like I am typing here data, and we can give it a name pivot table. Let's name it pivot table 1. You cannot perform many operations on one pivot table, or you may have to generate different types of formats for different types of data. So it is not necessary that you will be able to perform all types of formatting or all types of operations on one pivot table. So please keep in mind that we can generate one or more pivot tables from the same data based upon our requirements. So let's begin with the discussion about pivot table fields. Here you can see different fields, and these fields are basically the headers that were appearing in your main data. You can sort them alphabetically. If you want to sort them, go to Tools, and here you can see the option Sort A to Z. Okay, and now my header fields are sorted in alphabetical order. But if you want to retain the same order that is actually existing in your main data, then you can go to Settings and choose Sort in Data Source Order. Moreover, you can change the appearance of this navigator bar from the available options. Like for now, we are using this second option. If I click on the first section, then you will witness a change in the appearance of this pivot table field section. Let's click on it, and here you can see that the format of pivottable fields has been changed. It all depends upon your convenience. If you feel like that this display option is easy for you to understand, then you can go with it. And if you feel that the second option is more appropriate for you to work with, then you can go with it. It has nothing to do with the operations of your pivot table fields. It is just appearance setting for your pivot table navigator tool. So let's discuss about these sections one by one. Rows and columns are basically related to the physical representation of your pivot table. For example, if I place clients in rows section, you can see all my clients are appearing in different rows. And if I drag this field in column section, then you can see that my client's information have been arranged in dedicated columns. So they are more to do with the representation of your data and how you want your pivot table to look at the end. Let's remove it from here. What is this value section? If you want to perform any operation on only single column, like I want to sum this unit sold information and this information is sitting only in one column, then I can easily place this header field in the values section. Click on right arrow key and from here go to value field settings. Here you can see different types of operations that we can perform on our data. If I want to see count, I can choose it from here, and here we will see the total count of units sold. If I want to see the sum, go to value field settings, select here sum and press OK. Now you are seeing the sum. If I want to see the average, then choose average, press OK, and here you can see the average. Okay, now what we are seeing is the cumulative information of units sold over the past 4 years. If I want to see how many units have been sold to different clients, you can drag this field and place it into the rows section. Now you can see the average of units sold to different clients over the past 4 years. Now I want to be more specific about the years. If I try to place dates here, then it is quite messy. Let's first split our dates into year, months and quarters, and then we will proceed with the further processing of the information. Let's put back all the fields, pick the date field and drag it into the raw section. Place your cursor on any date, go to pivot table tools, and within the pivot table tools select analyze. Here you will find the tab Group field in Group section. Click on it, and here we have different options. You have to be very careful about what you need in your data. You do not need to choose unnecessary fields from here. Like I want to visualize my results in terms of years, months and days, and I don't want quarters, hours, minutes and seconds, so I am leaving them. As soon as you press OK, you will see that some additional fields will be created here. So if I uncheck the dates and select only the years, your pivot table will display only the information of years. And if we select here months, then you will see that pivot table will show only the value of months. So now this was our first target that we wanted to achieve, because we want to see the sum of units sold and the revenue generated in terms of years. Let's proceed with our next step. As per our first task, we want to create reports representing the units sold and the revenue generated over the past 4 years. So here what I am going to do, I am simply dragging the clients in filter section. This filter section allows you to generate separate reports for each client, or you can use this section to generate separate reports for the products as well. But for now, our task is to generate separate reports for the clients. So I am placing clients in this filter section. Then I am going to use products in my raw section, and then I need to see the sum of units sold in terms of year. So I am also placing years in row section, but rather I would like to place them in column section, and then I want to see the sum of units sold. So I am placing the units sold in my operational section, which is the value section. Here you can see my pivot table is showing me that how many units of products have been sold in separate years. We can do some formatting here, like I see this option of raw labels in my pivot table. So in order to remove it, place your cursor over it, and here in the pivot table analyze section, you will see the option of field headers. Just click on it and your extra labels will be removed from the header section. It is your choice to keep the grand totals row wise or column wise. I want to see the grand totals only in the column section, and I want to remove them from the row section. For this purpose, you have different options in the Pivot Table Tools Design tab. Just click on it, and here you will see different options. We have options for grand totals. Click on it, and we have different options to display our grand totals. If I choose on for columns only, you will see that my rows grand totals will be removed from my pivot table. And if I choose on for rows only, then you will see that my column grand total will be removed. So you can select the appearance of grand totals from this option. If I go with off for rows and columns, then grand totals will be removed from both columns and rows. And if I go with on for rows and columns, then my grand total will be appeared for both rows and columns. For now, I want to see the grand total for columns only. Now let's bring in the data of revenue. But how we will do that? Because you can see we have no any header field with the term revenue. We have to generate it by multiplying two columns that are units sold and cost per unit. As far as values field is concerned, then I have already told you that this section can only be used for carrying out operations on one column only. But now we have to multiply two columns. So how we will do that? For performing operations on different columns, pivot table has an other option in its analyze tab, and this is recognized as field item and sets option. You will find that in calculations group. Just click on it and go to calculated field option. Here type in the name of the column that you wish to see as a header. I am going to type revenue. Now we have to multiply two columns together. Let's select the columns from field options. I want to multiply units sold. Select it and click insert field. Then add the multiplication symbol, that is asterisk, and then multiply it with cost per unit column. Select it, insert field. When you are done with applying the formula, click add and press OK. So now you can see your sum of revenue and units sold within different years. Let's rename them with simplified headers. Here I am going to type sold units, and here I am going to type revenue generated. Now let's do some formatting here. I want to see my values in terms of thousand separator. So select all the values, right click and go to format cells. Here in number section, I am going to type 0 as a decimal place, and I am going to use a thousand separator. Press OK. Now I want to change its complete outlook. For this I have different options in design tab. Click on any cell in the pivot table and in pivot table tools go to design option. Here we have different options for formatting our tables. You can choose any that looks good to you. I like it and I am going with this. Now you can see we have our table in good format. Our next step is to generate this information for separate clients. So what we need to do now, we have already placed our client in filter section, and in order to generate reports, go to pivot table tools, and here you will find options tab in the left side. Click on it and here you will see the option show report filter pages from the drop down menu. Click on it and click OK, and here you will see that Excel has generated 7 different tabs representing information about each client. From C1 we can see that C1 only purchases the product P1 from us, and these are the stats about the purchasing and revenue generation information. If we move to C2, here you can see that the client C2 has purchased only the product P2 from us over the last few years, and these stats are representing the sales and revenue generated information. The client C3 has been interested in product P3. Client C4 has also been interested in product P1, and client C5 has been interested in P2. So you can get different insights about these clients from the generated reports. Now let's move back to our main pivot table. So this is how you can create pivot tables in Excel to extract different information. Let's make some more changes, and I wish to see the regions as well. I want to see how my products have performed in different regions. I am also dragging the regions in the row section. Here you can see I have product P1, and this information shows me that how much revenue has been generated by the product P1 in each region. Similarly, I have the same information for the product P2 and my all other products. Now, if I want to see the information only in east or north or south or west, then I can insert slicers as well. Slicer is some sort of filter that is used to ease the filtration process in pivot tables. Here you can see the insert slicer option in the filter group. Click on it. I am going to insert slicer for regions. Click OK. What it will do now? Let's suppose from my data I want to see the results for each region only. I will select it and you will see that my table is showing me the results of each region only. If I want to see the information about South, I can click on South and you will see my table is showing me the results of South region only. If you want to remove the filter, you have to simply click on the cross appearing on the filter section. Just cross it and you will see that all the original information will be restored in the pivot table. You can change its formatting from here, like we can choose this format or we can choose this format. Click on it and you will see that only the region selected or filtered by you is represented in red and remaining all regions are represented in white. So this is basically the formatting, and you can check different options from here that are existing in the slicer tools. We can insert multiple slicers. I also like to insert a slicer for my product. So click on any cell in the pivot table, go to analyze tool, and again I wish to insert a slicer for my products. Click on it and here you can see an other slicer. Let's say I want to see how many sales have been done in the East region for product P2. If I choose here product P2, you can see my pivot table has been filtered out more for my products. If I want to remove it, then simply click on the cross icon and you will see the information of units sold or revenue generated in each region for all the products. So I hope you understand how the slicers work. If you want to remove it, simply click on it and press delete. But remember, before deletion, don't forget to cross the tab. Now cross the tab and remove them. If you don't want to use the slicers, you can use the pivot table filters. For instance, click on any cell and in the pivot table field, let's suppose I want to see the information about North region only. Click on the arrow on the right hand side against the regions, and from here you can select the North region. You can see you can apply the filtration from both your pivot table fields or by using slicers. Slicers are particularly useful if you want to use the pivot tables or pivot charts on dashboards where pivot table fields are not visible. So I hope you have learned great tips and tricks of pivot tables today. Experiment with your own data sets and let me know in the comment section with your experience. Tomorrow we will work on the same data set and I will show you how you can perform more operations because we are yet to see which region is contributing more in the revenue generation and which product is contributing more in the revenue generation. And in tomorrow lecture, we will also see how can we move these pivot tables from Excel to Microsoft Word or PowerPoint and how can we generate interactive charts from them. This is all for today. Thank you for your time. Stay blessed. Have a good day.